Hey everybody, it's Missy
and April,
and this is Sheela Na Gig. Hey everybody, welcome. Each week we present and explore our own Sheela Na Gig, a woman whose strength and perseverance has led her to greatness, who empowers us.
Somebody who you may know or not know.
Maybe you know them, maybe you don't. Maybe you should, right?
You should.
Bringing on some light to these ladies. So we're just glad you're with us. We're glad that you keep listening. Thank you for being here once again. And we're mixing it up a little bit today.
We are. We're not really sure what's going to come out of the mix.
We have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We have a few things planned and a lot of things unplanned,
actually.
A lot
unplanned.
Yeah. But why don't you tell them a little bit about our recent mention?
Yes. We were recently mentioned by the Women Who Podcast magazine.
Woo!
Yeah, they listed 10 up-and-coming podcasts by and about women. And we made it onto the list.
We did. We were so honored.
We were very, very honored.
Extremely honored.
Yeah.
So now we found out that they also have this amazing contest coming up.
Yeah, and since we were so excited just to be mentioned, we decided we should try for this contest.
Try for this contest. Why not, right? We have nothing to lose. And
except our pride, our hopes, our dreams. Otherwise, no pressure.
I might cry if we don't win something, April.
I know, right?
But there's a lot of opportunities to win because you can enter in many different categories. They have changing the world, stellar interview, compelling storytelling, sheer honesty, bare your soul, profound nugget, impactful story, thought-provoking perspective. Oh, also
stellar
service to
interview.
Others. And laughter and cheer. I said that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunities, and you can enter each category if you so desire. So we gotta create some 10-minute segments, which our new editor Taylor is helping us with, and we're very grateful for that.
We are. But in the meantime, Missy and I were tasked. He tasked us. He gave us homework, our new editor, and he told us we should go through and pick out what we thought were award-winning episodes, and even within that, like 10-minute. And you could break it up within the episode, but what would amount to no more than 10 minutes of winnable content?
It's a lot of work. April's been a lot more systematic about it than I have because I'll hear this 3-second quip and I'm like, oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, Taylor's probably going to kill me. Like I've given him a lot of work as an editor. I've just where she's made it a lot easier. She's done a lot of the editing for him. So.
Well, that supposes that what I came up with is really digestible and good.
I'm sure it is.
Knowing
you, April, I'm sure it is. But before we dive into all that, though, how are you?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm sad. I want to mention that a dear friend and fellow musician, Gene Sullivan, has passed away, and our first editor, Dana Sullivan, a lot of you may remember her. We were really grateful to have Dana on our team. And this is her husband, who I know we've mentioned too, because he gave us some Sheilas in the beginning. He gave us
some wonderful Sheilas.
He did. He was involved. He was very supportive, and he fought a good fight with cancer. And he played guitar in the Irish band that I'm in for 10 years. So we've played music together, and we've been very close for a long time. And he died on Thursday, and I've been really, really sad. Very, very sad. I don't know what else to say. It's been a little incapacitating for me. It hit me like a ton of bricks, and he's got 2 wonderful children, and Dana, of course, is a wonderful person. Yeah. And my heart just goes out to the family, and also he's one of 13 children, youngest of 13 children.
I didn't realize he was the youngest.
He's the baby,
youngest Sullivan.
Baby, yeah. And so I got to spend some time. I'm friends with some of his siblings, and I got to spend time with 7 of them the other night, just kind of retelling stories. And I've been watching Battlestar Galactica the past several nights in his honor. I never watched it before. I'm not a real sci-fi girl. I should say there's some sci-fi I like, but it has been good. It's been soothing. It's kind of like when my Aunt Sharon died. I watched a lot of Bonanza.
There we go.
It's my way of, I don't know, remembering, reconnecting, honoring. Yeah. So I'm in the throes of Battlestar Galactica right now, and love you, Gene Sullivan. Miss you terribly. Miss you terribly.
And thank you, Jean and Dana, for all of your contributions to the Sheela Na Gig podcast.
Indeed.
And I have to say, I went and saw Patty's Pig, Missy's Irish band, while Jean was playing.
Yeah, she actually saw us for the first time, and it was Jean's last show, actually. So it was on the Queen Mary, like she said, in Long Beach. And
it was a very beautiful moment, and it was surrounded by Sullivans. And I was with an Irish friend. It was very near St. Patrick's Day, and not all Sullivans look Irish. And so we played the Is That a Sullivan game? Is that a Sullivan? Yes, that's a Sullivan. That doesn't look like a Sullivan. It's a Sullivan.
That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you ever told me that. That's really funny.
It was a really touching, joyful...
Yeah. We got there, we were kind of a little pissed off because we weren't told it was outside, and so
it was a really windy,
cold night. There we were on the bow of the Queen Mary, and it was a little disconcerting. But once people got over it, and a friend of ours was staying on the ship, so she got April a blanket. Thank God. Thanks. Shout out to Gretchen.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I'm glad you were there. It was a very special. It was a very special night.
It was a special
Extremely
night.
Special night.
Especially now, knowing that was Jean's last time performing.
I think I'll send out a picture of that night.
Yeah.
I think I'll put a picture on
I happen to have a few.
Oh, good. Maybe we'll put a couple pictures up on Instagram. That'd be nice in his honor. Yeah. So anyway, that's been at the forefront of my heart and my mind, but it's good to see you. I always do love doing our podcast, and I do want to share something kind of funny. Okay, before
a little comic relief after touching tribute.
Okay, hang on. This is a message.
Hey, Jan, this is Kathy. You left your cushion in my car.
Oh, I did?
I'm going to see Lois on Friday. If you're coming in to play bridge on Tuesday, I'll take it to her. Okay? Give me a call. Thanks. Bye.
So obviously these are two little old ladies, and the one thing I worry about with that message is one day that's going to be you and me.
It's true. It's true. I just thought it was so funny. But the more I think about it, the more I think. So I thought it said Jen, but now I'm thinking it's my mother-in-law who is Jan. And somehow somebody, I had a 90th birthday party for her, so a lot of them got my number. So perhaps that message was actually from my mother-in-law.
That was my assumption. That's what I thought.
Is that what you thought?
Yeah,
I thought it was random. I just thought it was some random, like, I left you left your cushion. I love that she left her cushion in her car, and I'll give it to you at bridge.
I'm telling you, one day somebody's going to be making fun of you and me. And
we're going to be the Golden Girls, April.
All right.
Okay.
Enough silliness. Why are we here today? What are we doing?
Well, one more thing, I want to bring up Beulah Henry as well, because you recently did the Beulah Henry episode, and I listened back to it, and I was really excited because I realized that probably her doll was the predecessor to Baby Alive.
Oh, yeah.
And I did look up to see if there's any connection, like any mention of Baby Alive and Beulah together. There's not.
Okay, and for those of you who didn't hear the Beulah Henry episode, she was an inventor. She invented all kinds of things, and she was a very successful inventor. But one of her contributions was in doll making and making very lifelike babies. So Baby Alive, did she pee?
She peed.
She peed.
You fed her.
And it all came out the other end?
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember my story. I fed mine jelly from McDonald's, and it turned purple and moldy, and my mom threw her away. It's really sad. We ran out of the special food. But anyway, we were laughing. We were talking about dolls that poop, and I'm like, there must be a doll that poops. So I'm going to tell you, I found a doll that poops.
Oh, wonderful.
And it's made by the same company that does Baby Alive. It's called Baby Alive Little Snacks Doll.
Little snacks that come out the other end.
It's called Baby Alive Little Snacks Doll. Eats and poops.
Fabulous.
Yeah, and so maybe we'll post a picture of her. I don't know, because I did print out a picture, April, for you to see.
Oh, good. I can't wait. I love seeing.
Because there she is. She's pretty cute, right?
Oh, she is cute.
Yeah, but then you open up this compartment on her ass.
Oh my God, that's scary.
Yeah.
Okay, so the back is plastic, and the butt area is like a U shape. and it literally comes out, so it looks nothing childlike. Or
it's got like a butt hatch.
It's got a butt hatch.
So you get the snacks out of there. You get the snacks out of the hatch. It's not like
I get it.
See?
Well, one thing I will say, it's clean. There's not going to be any of the jelly problem that you ran into.
Yeah, probably not. And I'm quickly, I'll read a part of the description of this doll. Baby is all ready for pretend snack time. With included solid reusable doll food and snack box mold, kids can make snack shapes to feed baby a live little snacks doll.
Now, if I were the copywriter, I would not use the word mold. I know they weren't using it in the same way, but...
Box mold. The quick change diaper flap also...
Quick change diaper flap.
Yeah,
it's
also
scary.
makes changing time a breeze for this baby doll that eats and poops.
Well, it certainly doesn't prepare
Simply
anyone.
pop open the plastic molded diaper flap, empty it, and then play again.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Excuse me if I don't run out and buy this doll.
Well, just want to make sure people know about that.
Thank you for sharing.
And actually, I found out that Target, again, me going down the rabbit hole, Target actually has a page that says dolls that peep and poo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so that was a little bit interesting. I did another a little more research because remember she had that cow that gave out.
Yes, gave milk.
Real milk, and that doll's name was Milka-A-Moo.
Milka-A-Moo, right?
I've decided I have to get a Milka-A-Moo. It's from 1948. I'm sure I can find one on the internet somewhere. Does anybody have a Milka-A-Moo for me? But it had a rubber udder and it squeezed and would squirt out real milk. But my question is did you put the real milk in there, I'm assuming? Was it kept in the refrigerator? I don't know. But here, look, I printed out a little picture of that, too.
Oh, my gosh. It's a picture of a little girl squeezing the teat with a glass.
Did you just call it a teat?
Yeah, teat. Isn't that what you call the udders? The end of the udders?
I've always just called them udders. I've never used the word teat in my whole life,
I
April.
think it's teat. I could be wrong.
Teat. Oh.
But, so anyway, the little girl is squeezing the end of the udder, which might be a teat, and there's a glass, and it's catching the milk.
And she's going to drink that.
And she's looking
She's
ready.
going to have a delicious treat. Yeah. And then I was looking for the Miss Illusion. That was the doll that had movable eyes that could change color to match on Snap.
Right.
Yeah, and so they were movable eyes. I don't remember this part, but you could also, they would change color to match Snap-on wigs.
Well, because Beulah...
Snap-on wigs, what the heck?
If you remember, Beulah Henry really was a fashionista, and she liked things to match.
Right.
And her very first invention as an adult real inventor was an umbrella or parasol that you could change the color on to match your outfit.
Right.
So she was being very consistent.
Yeah, I get it. Do you remember Tiffany Taylor?
Tiffany Taylor.
Tiffany Taylor. She's what you wanna be. Pretty brunette, changes to blonde, fun by the sea. Tiffany Taylor.
I have to say, I never knew that.
I don't know. That just came out of my ass. I have no idea how I remember that song, but it was this doll, and you could change her little head. There was a little screw top on her head.
That also sounds creepy.
And you could change her from blonde to brunette.
Fabulous.
Yeah, Tiffany Taylor. But I like changing the eye color.
Oh, well, yeah, that was definitely a Beulah thing.
It was a Beulah thing. And the last thing I want to tell you about is I'm always listening to podcasts.
Right, yeah.
You listen to books on tape.
I listen to books on tape, and Missy listens to podcasts. And then we argue about which is more profound. Go ahead.
Well, they're both profound in different ways.
In different ways.
Yeah. But I just listened to the most amazing miniseries. It's called Runaway Princesses. It was just released, not that long ago. I shouldn't say just released, but January of 2024. It's a New Yorker Apple podcast, and it is a 4-part miniseries, and it basically focuses on a princess, or a couple princesses actually, but the one in particular her name is Latifa bint Mohammed Al Maktoum, and she's the daughter of the Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, who is the current ruler of Dubai and serves as the vice president and prime minister of the United Arab Emirates.
So is she a Sheela?
Yes, in that's why I'm talking about her, because I'm thinking it's a crazy. She's 40 years old now, but she attempted to escape because she claimed that she was kept a prisoner by her own father, that she was abused, that she was tortured. The most amazing, crazy ass, like, attempt to escape that involved, like, jet skis and a dinghy and a private yacht and getting an Irish passport and all this stuff. And she developed relationships with two people who, you know, she would basically send videos to and communicate with and tell them what was going on. They tried to help her escape. And then she was recaptured, basically.
Oh, wow.
But her father tried to make it look like a kidnapping. And basically, like, she just has disappeared. And they take these pictures of her acting like she's enjoying life, and now nobody's heard from her.
Wow.
And she had said, if I ever go silent, you'll know something's very wrong.
Oh,
you will know. Oh. And now they're saying, like, no, she's very happy with her life. She's very comfortable. Even she's made a couple statements where she's like, yeah, I'm comfortable. I can travel. I can do what I want now. I'm okay. But
that sounds very suspicious.
It's very suspicious. So I'm thinking about, everyone should listen to Runaway Princesses. It's very interesting, and it's only 4 parts, but I may be doing.
And what's the podcast?
It's part of In the Dark, actually.
Okay.
It's part of the In the Dark series and the New Yorker.
And I feel like I owe, on a completely separate note, but I'm sorry, I feel like I owe book lovers an apology because I've always been a book lover and love to read, but because I spend so much time in my car, I got addicted to books on tape and realized I could consume a lot more. But let's hear it from
We live in Los Angeles. Let's say that again. We live in Los Angeles. I seriously drive 2 to 4 hours every single day. So you better bet your butt that I'm going to be watching, or listening rather, to some podcasts and maybe eventually some books on tape too. I don't know. Yeah, so anyway, and the reporting's by Heidi Blake, British reporter, amazing. So I'm putting that out there, and who knows, you may hear more about Princess Latifah in an upcoming episode, because I am completely fascinated now.
Thank you for sharing that. That sounds really riveting. And
yeah, totally.
A little disturbing.
Yeah, disturbing for sure. Totally disturbing. But anyway, back to our is Sheela Na Gig an award-winning podcast?
That's the question of the day. And we're actually, in a few months, coming up on the first year anniversary of Sheela Na Gig.
I think we have to have a party with vagina cookies again, don't we?
We might have to do that.
We do have some leftover crotchless underpants. We haven't used them, don't worry. They're unused.
They're clean. But what I really wanted to say was that this seems like a good time to reflect back on the podcasts that we've made. We have like 44 recordings already done.
So crazy.
It is crazy. But that's what happens when you drop one a week and there are 52 weeks in a year. You start coming up on that.
That's true.
And so this is both an opportunity for us to look at maybe what some of our best work was and explore whether or not it is award-worthy, and also to just reflect on what we did this year or almost year.
Right. And then there's that part too where you listen to it and you're like, oh, I could have done that better.
Oh my gosh, I don't even want to begin to
April's
go there.
had a really, tell them about your journey.
Yeah, I've had a huge journey because I hate the sound of my voice, and I was cringing listening to the podcast, and for a long time I just stopped listening. I couldn't listen, and I actually, after listening to enough of them, I started to realize, well, I'm definitely improving. I'm learning from listening, but it's not as bad as I thought. And I actually found myself getting interested in what we were saying. It's been long enough that I've forgotten some of it. It was like, this isn't bad. This is kind of good or kind of interesting. So I'm learning to really appreciate.
Right. And I said, she's the one who comes off as like the aficionado. Like she comes off like, what did I call you? What did I tell you when we were talking about it? I said you were the what?
Something about validate or I don't know.
You validate our podcast.
I don't know.
Like I'm the wackadoodle. Like I'm the
Well, honey, if I'm validating, we're in trouble.
No, stop it. But no, I'm a little what's the word? I'm a little off the charts. I'm a little
Well,
unexpected.
you're daring. You're a little
shot in the dark.
irreverent, and you'll go to the daring, shocking places. Mine is I start yelling at myself better words to use. I always use the wrong words in our podcast, and I start screaming at myself,
well, we all do
say this. Yeah, why didn't I say that? But, oh well.
I know, right?
But yeah, somehow we did manage to come up with...
We did. So again, we talked about those categories earlier. So we were kind of like our again, this is, kind of our editor's idea, but he was like, look at those categories and think about what podcasts you've done that might fit into those categories.
And we haven't really discussed how to do this, but what if you tell me one that you came up with and then I tell you one that I came up with and we say why, and I don't know.
Sure.
We have no idea how this is going to go.
We really don't. Well, of course, I did thought-provoking perspective, and I did Liz Carmichael.
Oh, yeah.
And it's interesting because it was really probably the most heated that April and I have ever been on air.
Definitely. Did you pick out, because I know that you picked out little chunks, did you pick out our argument? Because at one point we were yelling at each other.
I did, and I put a little note to Taylor like, I don't know how much of this we should include or if any of it, but it's there.
It is there.
We had to put up like a bicker barrier.
Yes.
We had to put up a bicker barrier, remember?
Yes, and going back to Gene Sullivan, he did not like when we would argue. And
no, he did not. He did not like the fact that we argued during that episode. But it's thought-provoking. So just to kind of quickly review, this is a transgender woman who invented an amazing car, and she was a total kind of genius and kind of ahead of her time in terms of the transgender community, and really coming to terms with her authenticity, who she was as a woman, her ideas, not backing down from her ideas. But the backstory to that, though, is she was also a criminal. She had some criminal acts that were...
Yes, she did.
Yes, and so the question, of course, is can we look at this through the lens, we're looking through this the lens of a pioneering trans woman who really went out on a limb in many ways, and I think was very brave, but not to say that she didn't make mistakes, too, because she did have some criminal activity, which April really was,
Yeah, but one of the things about the category is it asks us, did it make you think differently about a topic? And I have to say that whether I agree that she was or wasn't a worthy Sheela, it certainly made me think about it, and it maybe asked me to stretch myself and think about it. So
that's what I was really hoping for. So again, that's kind of why I chose thought-provoking perspective, because I do think it's thought-provoking. And I do think sometimes we have to look at things through a different perspective. It's not always black and white, certainly not in her case.
Yeah.
What about you, April?
So one I picked under Profound Nugget was the Feast interview.
Oh my God.
This was
so good.
It was a one-woman play written by Megan Garrity. And there was a West Coast production here in Los Angeles with actress Erin Schleback, and the director was Lauren Cavelli, and we had these three women. Megan joined us by Zoom. And the play was written by Megan as a sort of from the standpoint of the poem Beowulf. She took off with the character of Grendel's mother. So there was this incredible conversation, and the play covers all kinds of really poignant and important issues about authoritarianism and patriarchy and misogynism. But the piece that just made my jaw drop, because, we have 10 minutes. The most we could spend is 10 minutes. And the piece that I really wanted to capture was the idea that came out in our discussion with these three brilliant, dynamic women about the victor gets to tell the story.
Yes.
Because, of course, the story of Beowulf, as written, Beowulf was the hero. And what Megan Garrity retells or reimagines for us is that, no, Grendel's mother, who wasn't even named in the poem. She didn't have a name. She wasn't given a name. That's how little she was thought of. That was how much she was belittled. The playwright really showed Grendel's mother as the victor, as the true victor, even though she was defeated, or maybe not victor, but she was the righteous character.
Yes.
And she was so demonized in the poem with her son Grendel.
Yes.
And they were so degraded and called monstrous and barbaric, and she was a hag. And Megan lets us look at it from a different lens. And its relevance to today is we can say this person is good and that person's bad. We create a lot of other-isms and make a person or a population of people look less than. And this discussion, this riveting discussion that we had really says it's in the eyes of the beholder.
Right.
It depends on who is telling the story.
Exactly.
And I thought that conversation was so profound. I wanted to recapture it and talk about
it's
it again.
It's so profound. It was so well done. We were just delighted, just exuberant. I mean, over the interview, over the production, it was amazing.
It was amazing. And the play, sadly, was only in here for a very brief time, so it's not something that you can go and see again. But if it ever is showing and you happen to notice it, I really, really encourage you to see it.
Definitely.
It was riveting.
And it's interesting because, of course, that again is a thought-provoking perspective as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and really goes back to what we were saying too about Liz Carmichael.
Right.
It's not always black and white.
Yeah.
You don't always. It depends on who's telling the story.
It depends on who's telling the story and what perspective. You're right. A person is carrying.
Right.
And everybody has different perspectives. Who's the right perspective?
Right. I always thought when I was a kid, I used to say to my dad, I would ask him about the Bible. I was raised Catholic. And I'd ask him about the Bible, and I said, there's all these people, and they have different stories, and he'd say, that is life. He'd say, if you go and there's 4 people standing on 4 corners and there's a car accident, they're all going to see something different.
Yeah.
Just like in the Bible.
Yeah.
And just like stories.
My insurance agent said the same thing.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Exactly. But but it's true. It's true. It depends on who's telling the story.
It is.
And that's a really good one though. I strongly am supporting you on that one for sure. Like that's absolutely great. Yes.
So who else do you have?
I also did for impactful story. I was working on Truce, Freddie, and Hanny.
Oh, yes. That was a very impactful story.
But of course, that's a hard one, because there's also Pocahontas, which I think is fitting for that, and the Night Witches, and Roberta Cowell. And it's very hard because you go, oh, wait, I guess it's good to have many episodes to choose from.
Our dilemma is we can only submit 1 episode per category, so we have to pick, if we're going to go with thought-provoking perspective, we have to pick 1 episode.
Right. But, obviously, Truce, Freddie, and Hanny, who, this is during World War II, and they were part of the Dutch resistance, and they were young girls. They were teenagers when they started, like 13 and 14. And basically became an active part of the resistance, and that they were actually shooting SS soldiers.
They were luring them into the woods seductively. And then killing them. They were assassins.
And they were blowing up bridges, and they were, stealing information, and talk about brave.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And one of the things that really I found very impactful about that story was in the end it talks about their post-traumatic stress.
Oh my God. How could you not have it?
The impact that it had on both women and really showed the other side. I mean, you're telling a story and it's riveting, but then really looking at the other end, what that cost them.
Yeah, exactly. Lives. And then there was Hanny, who was the third one, and sadly, Hanny was killed. She was killed by right before the end of the war too. The war was just about to end, and they decided to kill her. But the thing that really sticks out in my mind about her is they initially shot her, and the bullet kind of grazed the side of her face. And she looked at the guy and she said, "I guess I'm a better shot than you are." She had the last word.
She had the last word.
Yeah, and then so it's a very moving, thought-provoking, impactful story. So, but again, I'm still looking at, the Night Witches are as well, and Roberta Cowell, and how do you choose? It's really hard. What else do you got?
So the next one I have is the Night Witches, and these were a battalion of Russian female aviators. And what happened was they recruited about 100 women who didn't necessarily know how to fly planes or handle them, and they had like 3 months of training and went out with very, very subpar equipment, from their uniforms to the planes they flew, which were basically crop duster planes that were put together with spit and plywood, And
then they were given like these big oversized uniforms that didn't even fit them, and boots that didn't fit, and they would shove newspapers in them.
Right, and they couldn't bring parachutes, so if their plane was going down, they couldn't even eject because, first of all, they didn't have the budget for parachutes, and the parachutes would have been too heavy to put in their two-person plane, and they would have to reload bombs because they could only carry 2 bombs at a time, and they would shut off their engines. And
stealthy ladies.
So anyway, what I really wanted to bring across in 10 minutes was the most improbable battalion, who were also denigrated by their colleagues. They were considered little girls, and they were sexually harassed. And what was interesting about these women, and the word Night Witches were a label that the Russians gave them. They hated these women, and when they realized these women were bombing the hell out of them, and they were women, they were humiliated.
Yeah.
And they would give extra points if they could down a Night Witch plane. These women took pride in their abuse. They just felt like every time they were degraded by their colleagues and by the Russians who feared them, or excuse me, the Germans who feared them, they were Russian, that bolstered their energy and reinforced their conviction. It just made them stronger and more determined. And they were the most successful battalion, the most decorated battalion, but they didn't get to march in their own parade. Because
I was going to say that. They didn't get to march in their own parade, yet they were most decorated battalion.
Most decorated, and most of us have never heard of them.
I know.
And it's just so I really wanted to bring that story back to life because it was such a compelling, go kick-ass gal story that and I just loved it.
I'm going to be a Night Witch for Halloween. I don't even dress up for Halloween normally, but I think I'm going to be a Night Witch this year. It's just, they're so rad. And what category did you say that was again?
I thought-provoking perspective, which we've overly stuffed, and also maybe impactful story. And the question about impactful story is the criteria for that category is worded in a way that our stories may not qualify, because a lot of the categories ask about guest speakers
But I don't think that's. I think that's just giving an example.
We can always try pushing the envelope and seeing what happened.
Compelling story.
Compelling story.
That's a good one. Yeah, compelling story as well, for sure.
These certainly are compelling stories.
Right.
So tell me your next one.
Laughter and cheer.
Oh, yay.
Laughter and cheer, which, a lot of these stories, I mean, they're very controversial. Some of the stories are very hard to tell. Some of them end really sadly. These women who are unrecognized, who die penniless for living these amazing lives where they accomplish so much. It can be very...
And other people took their credit.
Yeah. I mean, it can be very sad.
It can.
It's nice that I could find a little... and there's always those little chunks of humor and cheer always that you find or whatever. But the Caress Crosby episode, to me... Really, there's just so many moments where I just laugh listening to it. I remember calling April from the car the first time I listened to the episode. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And I was laughing so hard when I called her. She thought I was crying. She's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I said, "Oh my God, I just listened to the Caress Crosby episode." I said, and there's this moment where you just kind of say, like, off in the distance, like an aside almost, "Everybody needs a dancing clitoris on their bed." And the kind of the funniest part is, like, it's like I'm moving forward through the story. So it's just this little aside that she says, and I keep going. Like, I don't even acknowledge that she's just said it.
I don't think you heard it at the time.
I didn't at the time, but like tears. And that was the name, by the way. Clitoris was the name of her dog. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she was just this extravagant, amazing woman. She invented the first bra, the first, actual bra. And she went on, though, that really wasn't even her big claim to fame. I mean, certainly it was a big claim to fame, but she never really got the acknowledgement. Warner bought it from her and never gave her any credit. But really, what's to be, you know, examined and talked about and revealed is her amazing life. She was an artist. She was she had a publishing company. She was married to this man named Henry Crosby, and they opened Black Sun Press together, and they were supporting all these expats, you know, in Europe, the lost generation of these artists, and just amazing who she was rubbing elbows with. And
yeah, when you were telling this story, I just kept going on, and I'm not meaning it like it was long. It was just like she lived 4 lives.
She lived 4 lives, for sure.
In one lifetime. Yeah.
And, you know, and she's always just freaking, like, naked, smoking opium in a bathtub with, you know, you name it. You know, she's there with Georgia O'Keeffe, and she's there with Hemingway, and...
Oh, yeah, she hobnobbed with all the...
Frida Kahlo, and Picasso, and Salvador Dali, and Henry Miller, and, I mean, just... everybody you can imagine rubbing elbows who was somebody in the art world at that point.
But there was a lot of humor.
Oh my God, so much humor.
I just want to say, when we were looking over the categories, we thought, oh, humor really isn't appropriate or applicable to our podcast.
Right.
Because mostly we're dealing with pretty serious and sometimes very sad subjects.
It's true.
So I love that you found or remembered one that just made us laugh
so
much.
It made me laugh out loud at points. You know, I mean... It made me laugh out loud. It made me laugh out loud at points. And it was just, you are hilarious. You say some really funny things. And
I'll have to go back and listen. I don't remember anything.
I remember her first husband. I had forgotten that he chased fire engines.
That's right. That was so funny.
Yeah, he was like a Dalmatian of a husband. And there's just some really good little nuggets in there. So hopefully Taylor, our editor, will help us kind of get it
narrow down and focus.
Yeah. So what else you got going on, April?
So I listened to a couple of other podcasts that I decided probably weren't great for the awards, but I was really happy to re-listen to them and appreciate the tributaries we've made.
And now that you can listen to them a little bit better.
Yes, without cringing, which helps. But the last one that I have so far is under the category of impactful story is a modern-day Sheela named Julie Rowland. She's in her early 30s. She was in the Air Force. She was an Air Force pilot. She is lieutenant. She just graduated, and her graduation is on, and a little clip of her is on YouTube. Mm-hmm. She is going to law school. She's an advocate for children, and she also does public service on cybersecurity. And she is also one of the few existing female magicians.
She's a woman magician. That's how I met her. I actually met her at Magic Castle in Los Angeles.
And when Missy said she wanted to, interview this woman, it was like, I didn't know what to expect. And she came on. She was so articulate. She has accomplished so many things in her young life. And we're talking about magic. But somehow she's also sharing about learning how to fly a helicopter. Yeah. And there's this beautiful moment where she describes reaching out of the helicopter and touching a cloud. And it was so beautiful and so magical that I thought that's an award-winning moment. Yes. That I want to recapture that and revisit that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had so many great interviews.
We have.
So, that could be stellar interview, but also for Women in Red.
Oh, gosh, yes.
That was so impactful and amazing, really finding out about missing and murdered Indigenous women, like the impact of that. Mm-hmm. People don't even know it's happening.
No.
And it's an epidemic.
And again, this For Women in Red was a play that was performed in North Hollywood, Los Angeles. And we had the opportunity to interview some of the actors, and the director. And it was, again, very riveting and just enlightening. And I really didn't know about what an epidemic it was. Yeah, murdered and missing Indigenous women. And then Missy followed up with Pocahontas, who was a murdered and missing Indigenous woman.
Which a lot of people certainly don't know her story. No. They know the Disney version.
Right, which is a very glossed over version.
Yeah. a lot of people don't realize that, Pocahontas was actually murdered.
Right.
She was actually a murdered and missing Indigenous woman. She really was.
Yeah.
And we've just had a great opportunity to do so many great interviews. We also did an interview with Emma Andres.
Yes, who is a really gifted choreographer and artistic director. She has a ballet troupe called Little Women Ballet, and they do both immersive experiences in Heritage Square, which is a very historical part of downtown Los Angeles, where you can go through these beautiful Victorian homes, and they perform pieces of the iconic story of Little Women in ballet. And then there's a full-blown ballet, which Missy and I are going to in June. Yay! And this young woman, again, a very young, highly accomplished woman, she just blew me away with her choreography and her vision in that immersive experience.
Yeah, right. And right after she had lost her family home.
Right.
In the Altadena fires.
Where she stored all of the plays and performances, props and costumes, and they all burned in the fire.
Right.
And when we went to see the immersive a few weeks ago, this was the community banding together to get props and costumes, very elaborate costumes, and period pieces, props, available very quickly.
Yeah.
And it really spoke to how much she inspired the community to come out and support this ballet troupe.
Yes, absolutely. And we've done some other great interviews too, which are coming up. You have to listen.
Yes.
We always welcome that opportunity, by the way, if you're listening.
Yeah.
And we would love to hear your story, or if you know a Sheela to share with us, we would love it. What about changing the world?
Changing the world.
Got anything for that one?
Changing the world. Well, I think in many ways, you were talking about Beulah Henry, and we've had several Sheelas that were inventors.
Yeah.
And they didn't necessarily get the credit for their inventions, but we had everybody from the creator of Monopoly,
Lizzie Maggie,
who really invented a game that evolved into Monopoly. We've had a bunch of inventors who actually did change the world and how we live, shop, cook, clean, work, and drive.
Yeah.
And most people don't know these people's names, these women's names. We all heard of Edison and, Graham Bell, but we don't know so many of these Sheelas, these wonderful, remarkable Sheelas, many of whom didn't have formal education and yet went on to create all of these inventions.
Yeah, I just thought about Sybil Ludington for changing the world.
Yes.
I mean, after her run, that was the last time the British Army ever visited our soil during the Civil War.
That's right. And we all know about
Paul Revere.
But we don't know Sybil Ludington.
I hate how they always have to be the female Paul Revere. The female. Like, why, can't they just be, mighty and awesome in their own right without having to define them by a man? But you see that a lot because people know who the men are, unfortunately.
Right. And that's why we do this podcast.
Yeah. Sybil Ludington, by the way, did the same... like Paul Revere.
Not like Paul Revere because it was storming out.
Well, I was just going to say, the only difference is Paul Revere was 40, she was 16, he had 2 people helping him, she had nobody.
It was late into the night.
Yep, in the woods.
And she went something between twice as long to
twice to 3 times as long as he did.
Her ride.
She was never captured. He was.
And they said that they won't. There are pockets of people who don't believe the story, but somehow, the people that she allegedly warned or alerted that needed to show up in the morning at dawn and fight, they all showed up and fight.
Yeah, how did they get there? Somebody told them.
Somebody told them, and the only person we know is good old Sybil. So. Yeah, women who didn't get their due.
Yeah, totally. And, another changing the world, Amanda Wynn, who's we just did recently, who's a newer Sheela.
Yes, she's modern day.
Modern day Sheela, but amazing woman. She is originally from Vietnam. She came here as a refugee. Very, very intelligent woman, and was on the track in college doing her thing. And sadly, very sadly, she was raped and went down a whole different path, but actually found out that rape kits were being destroyed after 3 months, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And completely put that legislation in progress.
She made sure that legislation was passed to protect those rape kits for indefinitely.
Yeah.
And she led that charge at a time when many rape victims really don't necessarily want to put themselves out there.
Right.
She made sure to tell her story and to fight for rape victims' lives. And so, yeah, she's changed the world.
Yeah.
She's definitely helped change the world.
Yeah. And, that's another story of sheer honesty, too. Mm-hmm. Because she really went out on a limb doing what she did, to help her, other women. And,
That's right.
and it could have, she was concerned. She knew that it could ruin her career in some ways, or upset her career. And she definitely put her career on the back burner in order to pursue how important this was.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's another, and then changing the world too, Wilma Manhunter.
Yes, and Dolores Huerta.
Yeah, it's true.
Again, we all know Cesar Chavez, but we don't know Dolores Huerta as much.
Exactly. There's so many here. And then, I know, too, we were talking about Zelda
Fitzgerald, who most people have heard of, but maybe not in context that Missy revealed.
Yeah, so everybody knows her as the crazy wackadoodle wife of F. Scott Fitzgerald. But she was an amazing writer and artist in her own right. And now we find out that there is proof that she was writing a good deal of his material. He was stealing that material straight out of her diaries.
And then we had Brecht's version of that, Stefan.
Yeah, Margaret Stefan.
Greet.
Stefan. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which was, another example.
And so, that saying about behind every good man is a good woman, well, we need to
goes the other way, too.
Yes.
Yeah,
True.
Support bros.
Support bros.
We're thinking about doing an episode on Support bros.
Yes, because there have been some very wonderful men who have stepped up and supported women, taken a stand, and really enabled women to shine.
We also, we have a compelling story, and we have, what was the other one that's kind of like compelling story? Impactful story, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, again, thinking about, we just talked about Zelda, Helen Duncan.
Wow.
Helen Duncan was one of our Halloween episodes.
Mm-hmm.
My son actually had said, Mom, if you're doing a podcast, you got to do Halloween episodes. Mm-hmm. People love Halloween. I was like, what? So April and I found a few Halloween Sheilas. I thought all of them were really cool, actually.
Yeah.
You did The Witches.
Yeah, I did The Witches of,
Salem.
The
Witches of Salem.
The Witches of Salem. And you did Helen Duncan and
Marie Laveau.
Right.
Yeah, Voodoo Queen, which was interesting to me because I'm Cajun and my family's from Louisiana. Mm-hmm. And I remember my grandma talking about Marie Laveau as a child. There's a little poem that I think I recite in there.
Did.
And so that was kind of interesting to talk about her.
One of the things that we've talked about is that this podcast could go on forever because of the breadth of interesting women.
We're never going to lose material. I always say we're never going to run out of material. We're just like a crime podcast. Unfortunately.
And the crime is sometimes not getting proper acknowledgement.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I'm just thinking about Marie Laveau. We hadn't really talked about this, but again, perspective and the stories. So there's enough.
Yes.
All those stories that she was this evil voodoo queen,
right?
That did all these horrible things, and then we find out she was really actually this very amazing,
philanthropic, giving. Yeah, caring
visiting
women.
prisoners,
right.
and in jail and praying with them, and she maintained her religious, like her Catholicism, I believe, throughout her life.
Yeah.
I mean, just very interesting, very different story than what even I had always heard.
Right.
So
the
again,
legends.
these perspectives, perspective. Victor tells the tale.
Yes, the victor tells the tale.
So this has all been very interesting, and obviously when we go down these rabbit holes too. It's hard sometimes because you find so many perspectives. And it's like, what is really the truth? What is the truth here?
And again, it depends a lot on your perspective and what you see. I was listening to NPR the other day, And an actress on The Office was saying her grandmother refused to watch the show because they sometimes used words like penis, and she was so highly offended. And so for her, that is just unacceptable.
Right.
And for somebody else, that would be a reason to watch the show.
That's a good point. That is a good point. I think I would, if I knew a show was going to have the word penis in it, I would definitely be tuning in.
You're there.
I would definitely be tuning in. And another one, we were saying Helen Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
Helen Duncan, which was another Halloween episode,
Right.
and she was this medium, actually a very well-known medium of her time, very gifted. Mm-hmm. We both agreed.
Yeah.
Again, this is perspective again, though. There was many people that thought she was a quack, that thought she was, making it all up,
Right.
as there were people
Fraud.
that thought, a lot of people thought she was fraudulent, but then there was a lot of people that she did a lot of good for.
Right.
And she did share her gifts. So it was interesting, again, to share kind of both those perspectives. But part of the thing with her, which I thought was really interesting, is she was trying to keep up with the Joneses. She was trying to keep up with the times, because there were a lot of mediums during that time. And they were using these conventions and kind of this pageantry. They were having ghosts appear. And in her, some of them were doing ectoplasm that came out of their
Right.
mouth, and she kind of got on that, got on that train.
And it hurt her. It definitely
it did. It hurt
reputation.
It hurt her. Yeah. But she almost had to in order to maintain
Keep up with the competition.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But then it kind of devalued what she was doing at the same time.
Yeah.
So that is another interesting Sheela for sure. What else you got, April?
Well, that's all I really have. I've looked at our Sheelas, and it's not that I think the other Sheelas that we've done, the other episodes, aren't interesting and worthy of listening. I just think that we're looking for those riveting, standout pieces that really oh gosh, no. We've mentioned Roberta Cowell.
Oh, Roberta Cowell.
We mentioned, and I meant Roberta Cowell. When I went back and listened to that podcast, it was like whiplash. Every time I listened to a new element of it, it was like, wow. And wow. It was wow, 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 because there were so many elements to her.
Oh my God.
She was the first known British woman, or trans woman, to undergo gender-affirming surgery in 1951. And I didn't even know they were doing gender-affirming surgery in 1951.
Right.
And
she had it done in an apartment
yes,
yeah.
with somebody who wasn't a licensed doctor. Yeah. It was the first leg of that surgery was done that way.
Yeah.
And so the second part was actually done in a hospital with
thankfully.
a licensed doctor. But she was a daredevil, and one of the things that I normally think about, if somebody is looking for gender-affirming surgery to become a trans woman, I think of them as wanting to be very feminine, but a lot of Roberta Cowell's lifelong interests were very masculine. She was a car racer.
Yeah, she was a race car driver. She was actually a prisoner of war.
Yes, she was a war hero. She
flew Spitfires during World War II.
Exactly, and she did have 2 children as a man when she was married. And she wasn't maternal. She wasn't interested in raising children. She wasn't involved with her kids' lives. And so in so many, many ways, she defied stereotypes.
Oh, yeah.
And there was something about listening to the whole podcast that I was constantly surprised, even though I was realist. I mean, obviously I was there when we recorded it. And again, like Night Witches, I think it's a story that should be told and heard more broadly, because talking about shifting your perspective and really having to rethink our assumptions, this is an example of a Sheela who really did that for me, and not just did it once, but twice.
Yeah.
And so she was a Sheela. But after that, I just felt like a lot of our Sheelas were brilliant. They were brave. They did change the world. They left a mark on all of us.
Yeah.
But I think the ones we've been talking about really stood out for me because you can't call them all out, and also because we've got to get all this rolling.
Right.
And you know me, I'm a little bit of a time manager, and we've got
Oh, really, April?
I crack the whip and drive Missy crazy. But do you have anybody else that we haven't talked about?
Well, I want to say, just you talking about Roberta Cowell right now, bringing her up, sheer honesty.
Oh.
That's a good category for Roberta Cowell.
Yes, because she really never compromised who she was and what she believed in. And
No, never. She wasn't, afraid, even when it ruined her career as a race car driver.
Yes, that's true.
She
was willing
She couldn't
to
really
do
race
that.
after that because she was now a woman.
Correct.
But it didn't stop her from living, her authentic life and
absolutely
doing what she could. And so that might be sheer honesty. I hadn't thought about that before.
That's true.
Mercedes de Acosta would be another one for sheer honesty.
Yes.
Lived very openly as a lesbian artist and was never backed down from who she was, very unapologetic.
And Gladys Bentley.
Oh, is another one.
She was a black singer during Prohibition, and she would go to those underground speakeasies, and she reinvented songs, and they were very risque, and she was also not only an open lesbian, but she dressed in drag. She loved to dress in men's outfits, but she wasn't trying to look masculine. She just liked male clothes. So these ideas of women who just marched to their own beat. They were unapologetic. They didn't try to fit into some kind of mold or and had a lot of courage and took a lot of flack and abuse and criticism for it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's just it's so interesting to talk about all these women, all these episodes that we've had, and makes me really proud to have brought these ladies to light.
Same here, and I hope it inspires some of our listeners to go back and listen to some of the episodes they might have missed.
Yeah.
And find out about these amazing, amazing Sheelas.
Yeah, for sure. Another one we didn't talk about was service to others. I think we were looking at that as well. We were looking at Night Witches again for that.
Definitely Night
Dolores
Witches.
Huerta, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Frances Glessner Lee. Let's talk about her for a minute.
Frances Glessner Lee. She created these little nutshell images. They were
dioramas.
Miniatures. Yeah, miniature dioramas. I guess dioramas are miniatures of crime scenes. And they were created in very, very fine detail to teach and educate detectives and the police force and those who were looking at crime scenes or potential crime scenes to determine what happened, to be able to kind of do that deductive reasoning.
And her attention to detail
was insane.
Insane. And amazing.
Yeah, she had like grease and dirt on light switches, and
miniature light switches.
In miniature, yes. And
and there's a great book I actually got for April that has a lot of the photos of her crime scenes, which they still use apparently.
They still use
teaching.
them for educational purposes. Yeah,
she was really amazing.
She was
really amazing. And we were talking about too, like laughter and cheer. We were talking about poopery.
Oh my gosh.
That was a little quick. That was a quickie. That was attached to another episode.
Yes. And
that was kind of shorter.
We wanted to look for it because this is a product that you put in your toilet bowl to keep the smell away. And that was hysterical. Recording that.
I remember April bought some. She had never heard of poopery.
I hadn't, and I went out and bought some.
She bought some on the
spot.
And I
love it. Yeah. So while we were sitting there, Missy thought I was messing around with my phone. I was like, no, I'm buying poopery.
I'm buying poopery right now. And they have pet puree too, which I like. And that was, and Madam C.J. Walker had some laughter and cheer for sure.
She did have some, but you know what? She was the first female millionaires, and what I take pride in that was that here she was an African-American woman who didn't have a formal education.
Nope.
But man, she had spirit, she had brilliance, she had guts, and she was our first female millionaire.
She was our first episode actually, and that's a funny story.
Oh, that is a funny story.
Where we, when we decided, okay, we're ready, we're gonna do our first episode. We both did our research, and we came to,
we're supposed to come together and surprise each other, and
which we do every time.
Yes, with our Sheilas.
And guess what? April showed up at the door with her notes, and I looked and I said, "Oh my God, did you do Madam C.J. Walker?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Me too. We did the same Sheila for our first episode. Like, what are the chances?"
It's so funny and ironic, and it's never happened since.
No, it hasn't. Although there's been a couple times when I've texted her, said, "Please tell me you're not." We typically record 2 episodes back to back when we get together. So now I have to just every now and then say, "Please tell me you're not doing this, Sheila."
And we never did it again.
No, we haven't done it again.
That's really funny.
Yeah, I know. But, well, this has been very interesting. And I indeed hope we are an award-winning podcast.
I hope so, too.
But we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. And even if we're not, we're going to keep on keeping on. I have to end with one more thing.
Yes.
Lizzie Maggie, who was an inventor, and she did 6 million other things. One of her many jobs was working in the dead letter office.
April cannot let go of this.
And I can't let go of it. That, to me, is the funniest thing. I think I'm the only person who thinks it's so funny, and I can't stop talking about it.
I mean, it is kind of funny. For me, it was funny because my mom used to always say, she'd say, "Oh, I tried to call your house. You weren't home. I don't know where you were. I've called you 10 times. It's like the dead letter office over there." So she would say that, but I never really knew what the dead letter office was until we did our Lizzie Maggie episode.
Because she worked there. And she did so many other things. It's like, why would you work in the dead letter office? You're a brilliant, dynamic woman. Why have this, it seems like a boring, dead job? And so I can't stop talking about it. And
she always has to add, when you're going on the list of, did you work at the dead letter office?
Yes.
It's that joke that just never gets old for April.
And unfortunately, I think I'm the only one who thinks it's funny.
It's funny. But you know what? I was thinking it would be kind of interesting to work at the dead letter office, especially if you could steam open some of those. Because it's basically a place where mail dies. Like, you send the letter, and it never gets to the person because maybe the address doesn't exist, or maybe the person has moved, or for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a lot of material there. And she was a writer as well.
She was a writer. And so that's a perfect place to end this episode.
Is it, April? I don't know, but I might have more to say. Let me think. I'm just kidding. Okay. Well, is this really fun to discuss this and to share it with you guys? And we'd love to get your input too.
Yes, if you have an opinion, please let us know, because we have
to turn it in by June 30th. So I think by the time you hear this, our deadline will be over. We'll already made our submissions. Yeah. But thanks for listening.
And I'd still want to know what you think.
But we do want to know what you think.
Yeah.
We would like, so when we enter next year, I don't know if this is a yearly contest or not, but.
Well, we might not qualify because by then we'll be over a year old.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, these are for, I think so.
I think you have to be at least a year.
Oh, maybe.
To qualify.
Okay.
So I think maybe who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe if we don't get in this year, maybe next year.
Maybe there's another year.
I don't know.
In the meantime, I'm going to work on doing a better job, and I'm not cringing at my episodes.
Yes, and I'm trying not to say as much. I think I'm saying it less, but I still,
think you're saying
when I can't think of the word I want to say, I just say, you know. And I do a lot of ums too. Which drives me crazy when I listen back. And fortunately, we have some good editors who sometimes just kind of cut that crap out.
They save us from ourselves.
Yeah. But see, I just did it. But there we go. On that note,
it's
we
time
better
to say goodbye.
Thank you for listening. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for listening and supporting us. And until next time.
Bye. Thanks.
Unabashed in your clothes.